Psychological Archetypes Case Study, Nicola Part 1, Archetype-Focused Edition. First house, self-identity and personality. The first house governs how Nicola shows up in the world, her personality, physical appearance, and the lens through which she experiences life. It's the foundation of her self-concept and the way others initially perceive her. With Venus placed in this house, Nicola naturally carries grace, charm, and social magnetism. She is drawn to beauty, harmony, and connection, not just in aesthetics, but in how she relates to people and presents herself. There's a deep desire to be liked, to create ease in interactions, and to refine not just her appearance, but her entire personal approach. This placement activates the diplomat archetype, which thrives on mutual understanding, empathy, and emotional intelligence. Nicola leads with cooperation rather than confrontation. In daily life, this shows up as someone who can walk into a room and immediately gauge the emotional temperature, knowing how to disarm tension with kindness or uplift a quiet space with warmth. She is naturally wired to harmonize environments and values her relationships as an extension of herself. But this also means she may avoid conflict, prioritize others' needs over her own, or struggle to say no in order to preserve peace. Alongside this, her Venus placement supports a second archetype, the creator, not in the sense of art alone, but in crafting experiences. Nicola expresses herself through sensory refinement, how she dresses, the spaces she designs, how she curates her presence both offline and online. She feels most herself when she's building something meaningful or beautiful, even if that's just a perfectly worded sentence or a gracefully hosted dinner. Self-expression is not separate from identity. It is identity. In her day-to-day life, Nicola likely gravitates toward professions or hobbies that let her use this relational and creative intelligence. Counseling, design, mediation, social planning, or even branding. Her strength lies in making people feel seen and valued, though she must remember not to lose herself in others' expectations. She may also navigate periods of self-doubt, especially if her worth feels too dependent on others' appreciation. The first house placement of Venus also gives her an internal compass that craves beauty in more than form. It seeks fairness, ease, and emotional resonance in all things. This often draws her to people who are refined, sensitive, or emotionally nuanced. Her personal relationships reflect her own evolution. She learns about herself through her interactions with others. Ultimately, Nicola's first house archetypes are relational and expressive. She moves through the world like a mirror, reflecting others' energy, shaping her responses with finesse, and often becoming the soothing presence people need. Her growth lies in embracing conflict when needed, asserting her truth without losing her grace, and continuing to refine not just what she creates, but who she is becoming through the act of creation. Psychological Archetypes Case Study, Nicola Part 2, Archetype-Focused Edition. Third house, communication, self-effort, and mental engagement. The third house governs how Nicola thinks, speaks, and initiates action. It's the realm of everyday communication, confidence, skills, short-term goals, and personal courage. With both the Sun and Mercury placed here, this part of her life is charged with mental energy, expression, and the drive to assert herself through ideas. This isn't just casual conversation. This is the engine room of how Nicola understands and shapes her world. Mercury's presence in this house makes the reformer archetype highly active. This archetype is all about seeing what could be improved, clarified, or corrected, and then doing something about it. Nicola's mind is sharp and responsive. In daily life, she likely notices inefficiencies others overlook and has a natural urge to fix or optimize. Whether it's editing a document, resolving misunderstandings, or enhancing a process, she brings a precise, constructive energy into her interactions. This makes her a natural problem solver in work, family, and social spaces. However, the reformer isn't content with just pointing out flaws. It's motivated by a vision of how things could be better. Nicola may feel a persistent pull to refine the systems around her, her communication style, her schedule, her methods of learning. There's an underlying idealism here, though it's expressed through action rather than dreaming. People around her may turn to her when they want clarity, improvement, or a well-reasoned plan. The presence of the Sun in the third house adds another layer, activating the arbitrator archetype. While the reformer critiques and improves, the arbitrator steps in to bring balance, fairness, and logical structure to decisions. Nicola likely takes communication seriously. She's not one to speak without purpose. Her voice may carry weight in her circles, not because it's loud, but because it's considered. In everyday life, this makes her a natural advisor, mediator, or strategist. She has the mental discipline to weigh perspectives and the internal ethics to strive for fairness. Together, these archetypes make Nicola someone who thinks deeply, speaks with precision, and moves with calculated effort. She likely excels in environments where communication is key: teaching, writing, negotiating, or strategic planning. Others may admire her for her clarity and intelligence, though she may sometimes feel pressure to always have the right answer or solve everyone's problems. In private life, she may enjoy reading, writing, podcasting, or engaging in deep conversations. Curiosity is part of her daily rhythm, and learning isn't optional. It's how she stays centered. She may even use her voice as a professional tool, blending intellect with integrity in how she communicates. The third house in Nicola's chart is not just about thought. It's about thought in action. She is someone whose ideas are meant to be used, whose words are meant to guide. Her power lies in her ability to see clearly, speak wisely, and act with both intention and refinement. Psychological Archetypes Case Study, Nicola Part 3, Archetype-Focused Edition. Fourth house, inner life, emotional foundation, and sense of security. The fourth house represents Nicola's inner world, her emotional core, relationship with home and family, and the foundation that anchors her identity. It's where comfort, belonging, and safety reside, often shaping how she nurtures herself and others. Mars is placed in this deeply personal house, bringing drive, fire, and agency into what is typically a more passive and emotional terrain. This placement strongly activates the maverick archetype. The maverick is fiercely independent, driven by a need for autonomy and personal truth. In Nicola's case, this shows up most clearly in how she relates to the idea of home. She likely grew up feeling either emotionally self-reliant or misunderstood, leading her to forge her own rules around comfort and emotional safety. In daily life, this can manifest as someone who creates unique living environments, questions traditional family dynamics, or emotionally distances herself to maintain her autonomy. The maverick here doesn't mean Nicola rejects connection. It means she redefines it. She's not emotionally conventional. Her comfort zones are often self-made, forged through resilience and solitude rather than inherited tradition. She may move homes often, create unconventional living spaces, or feel more secure alone than in crowded domestic settings. She can be protective of her space and identity, especially if past experiences have shown her how easily those boundaries can be violated. Yet, the emotional restlessness of Mars also pushes her toward action-based healing. This gives rise to the innovator archetype, particularly in how she manages emotional needs. Instead of coping through nostalgia or sentiment, Nicola approaches emotion like a project, something to understand, map, and recalibrate. She might turn to psychology, journaling, somatic work, or energetic practices to navigate her internal world. Her emotional work is often deeply private but highly advanced. In practical life, she likely thrives when she has personal control over her environment, whether that's running her home, curating her emotional routines, or finding solitude to recharge. She may feel uncomfortable in environments that are chaotic, emotionally needy, or lacking in personal freedom. Her version of nurturing is non-traditional. It may look like helping someone set boundaries, teaching emotional self-sufficiency, or redesigning their life for clarity. Together, these archetypes make Nicola emotionally resilient, fiercely introspective, and wired to protect her inner peace. Her emotional intelligence doesn't flow from softness, it flows from strength. She doesn't just feel emotions, she dissects, channels, and transforms them. In her closest relationships, she may need more space than most, but when she feels emotionally safe, she is a passionate and loyal protector. The fourth house in her chart is less about clinging to the past and more about reimagining emotional security on her own terms. Her home is not where she was, it's what she's building. Psychological Archetypes Case Study, Nicola Part 4, Archetype-Focused Edition, Fifth House, Creativity, Love, and Expression of Joy. The fifth house governs how Nicola experiences joy, expresses herself creatively, navigates romance, and nurtures children, both literal and metaphorical. It's the seat of inspiration, playful experimentation, and the spark of creation. With both Saturn and Rahu placed here, this house becomes a dynamic intersection of long-term commitment and ambitious desire. Her approach to love, expression, and creativity is complex, equal parts discipline and intensity. Saturn's presence activates the guardian archetype in this house. The guardian is dependable, measured, and protective. Nicola doesn't dive into love or creative pursuits impulsively. She approaches them with care, caution, and often a sense of responsibility. In her daily life, this shows up as someone who may delay romance until it feels emotionally safe, or who takes her role as a parent, teacher, or guide with great seriousness. Even in creative expression, she is not haphazard. She perfects, refines, and builds with purpose, wanting her work to endure and matter. But while Saturn brings emotional caution, Rahu fuels desire and experimentation. Its placement here awakens the creator archetype, but in an intensified form. Rahu's creator is not content with conventional beauty or expression. It wants to explore what's forbidden, uncharted, or taboo. Nicola may find herself drawn to edgy or visionary forms of art, relationships that challenge norms, or expressions of love that defy expectations. In everyday life, this could look like falling in love unconventionally, pursuing a unique artistic path, or nurturing ideas that are too different for traditional spaces. This paradox between guardian and creator can be both a gift and a tension. One part of Nicola wants stability in love and creativity. The other craves innovation and risk. She may cycle through periods of artistic daring, followed by creative withdrawal, or intense love affairs that eventually give way to solitude and reflection. Her path is about learning to honor both instincts, discipline, and inspiration, without allowing either to suppress the other. In her relationship with children or younger generations, she likely serves as a structured guide. She may expect a lot from those she mentors, but it's out of care. She wants others to reach their potential, and she'll work alongside them with quiet strength. At the same time, she must be mindful of not imposing too much structure or projection. Her guidance is most powerful when it flows from faith, not fear. In romance, she seeks emotional depth and spiritual connection, but may find herself oscillating between craving closeness and needing space. Love, for her, must serve as a path of growth, not escape. And when it does, she gives it everything. Creatively, Nicola is here to produce something meaningful. Whether it's writing, design, mentoring, or performing, she carries the weight of both legacy and evolution. Her joy isn't found in fleeting highs, it's found in the slow, soulful crafting of something she's proud to leave behind. The fifth house, for her, is not just where she plays, it's where she builds meaning through play. Psychological Archetypes Case Study, Nicola Part 5, Archetype-Focused Edition, 10th House, Career, Social Identity, and Public Contribution. The 10th house governs Nicola's professional life, social reputation, and the role she plays in the outer world. It reflects her ambition, her sense of responsibility, and how she shows up as a contributor to society. With Jupiter placed here, this area of life becomes a platform for wisdom, mentorship, and leadership through values. For Nicola, career is not just about success, it's about legacy, meaning, and guiding others through insight. Jupiter here fully activates the visionary archetype. This archetype thrives in future-oriented, idea-driven, and morally guided leadership. Nicola sees her career not just as a job, but as a platform to uplift, inspire, and teach. Her goals are long-range, and her work often revolves around contributing to a bigger picture, something that benefits people beyond herself. In daily life, this could manifest through roles in education, publishing, coaching, spirituality, or leadership in humanitarian or cultural spaces. She brings a strong sense of inner purpose to her public expression and likely feels drained or misaligned when asked to work without meaning. The visionary archetype is guided by ideals and long-term goals, but it's also emotionally invested in process. Nicola is not content with shallow forms of success. She wants what she does to reflect her beliefs, her ethics, and her inner compass. This often sets her apart in work settings, where she may serve as a guide, mediator, or strategist with a philosophical lens. She's not necessarily loud or aggressive in her leadership, but her presence carries weight, and her words often leave lasting impressions. Supporting this energy is the architect archetype, which emerges from Jupiter's ability to not just imagine great things, but also give them structure. Nicola isn't just a dreamer. She can organize ideas into systems, programs, or teachings that others can use. This is the difference between vision and implementation. In practical life, it could look like building a curriculum, founding a wellness business, writing a book series, or creating frameworks for growth that others follow long after she's done. In professional relationships, Nicola is likely respected for her maturity, fairness, and guiding presence. She may naturally take on mentor-like roles, even when it's not part of her job description. Others may look to her for wisdom during transitions or crises, trusting her to offer thoughtful, big-picture insight. She thrives when given room to lead through trust, not micromanagement, and may feel stifled in overly bureaucratic environments. However, both archetypes come with a shadow side. The visionary can become frustrated when others don't see the long-term picture, or when short-term demands derail deeper plans. The architect can over-engineer ideas, leading to delays or burnout from trying to make things too perfect. Nicola's path includes learning when to act and when to step back, when to guide, and when to let others grow on their own. Ultimately, her 10th house expression is that of a builder of meaning and a steward of wisdom. Nicola's career isn't just about what she does, it's about what she stands for. Her public life is an extension of her spiritual and intellectual values, and the impact she leaves behind is likely to ripple long after she's gone. Psychological Archetypes Case Study, Nicola Part 6, Archetype-Focused Edition, 11th House, Community, Social Networks, and Long-Term Goals. The 11th house reflects how Nicola connects with society, her communities, friendships, collaborators, and the hopes and aspirations she holds for the future. It's also the area of gains, what she receives from the world in exchange for her contributions. With both the moon and Ketu in this house, Nicola's relationship with community and ambition is emotionally rich, yet spiritually complex. This is not a straightforward path to popularity. It's a space where depth, clarity, and purpose wrestle with detachment and subtle influence. The moon here brings forward the arbitrator archetype, someone emotionally attuned to social dynamics who seeks fairness, calm, and emotional alignment in group settings. Nicola can intuitively sense the energy of a room, the hidden motivations in a team, or the emotional needs of her broader community. In everyday life, this could mean she's the unspoken stabilizer in a group, someone who doesn't necessarily lead from the front, but holds quiet authority through her emotional wisdom and timing. People may turn to her for advice or for the reassurance that someone gets it. She isn't driven by crowd approval, but she does care about emotional resonance. She wants her connections to feel real, safe, and aligned. In collaborations, she thrives when the group shares a common emotional or philosophical wavelength, one that values trust, depth, and purpose over popularity or superficial gain. The arbitrator's gift is fairness and emotional clarity. Her challenge is avoiding emotional burnout from always trying to keep the peace. Ketu's presence introduces the administrator archetype, which adds another layer to how Nicola relates to people and her goals. The administrator is structured, methodical, and precise, but emotionally detached. With Ketu here, Nicola may feel a natural disinterest in networking for its own sake, or may find it hard to sustain shallow friendships. Her involvement in groups is often marked by a quiet sense of purpose. She's there to build, to refine, or to maintain structure, not to be liked or noticed. In everyday life, she may take on roles that require organization behind the scenes, managing systems, maintaining boundaries, or quietly holding others accountable. She prefers collaborations that feel focused and productive, where everyone knows their role. If chaos or emotional drama overtakes a group, she's more likely to withdraw than to argue. The blend of arbitrator and administrator makes Nicola a highly effective but selective community participant. She's emotionally intelligent and deeply aware of what a collective needs, but also wise enough to know when to step back. She may cycle through phases of deep involvement, followed by retreat, especially when groups begin to feel misaligned with her evolving values or emotional boundaries. Her long-term goals are also touched by this combination. She doesn't dream just for herself. She dreams for systems, for structures, for healing communities. What she seeks from the world is not applause but alignment, a sense that what she's building or participating in matters. And while others may see her as quiet in the background, her influence often shapes the tone, rhythm, and clarity of whatever group she's part of. Nicola's 11th house is a realm of refined participation and sacred withdrawal. She brings emotional wisdom and structural strength into every collective she touches, but she does so with intention, never obligation. Her community is chosen, her voice is precise, and her aspirations are guided not by ego, but by quiet purpose.